Good.
Right after this, I'll jump in. Or no? Is that right? You think I should jump in there?
I think you should do it in the beginning.
Okay.
We already had the election.
I'll jump in.
Good evening, everybody. We've got a great audience tonight. We will now reconvene into open session. The time is now 7:06. And before we rise for our pledge.
Yeah, Ms. Cox, if I can have a point of privilege, I just want to first off convey my appreciation to our three returning but newly elected trustees, Angie Cox, Jenny Prosnick, and Catherine Sells. So congratulations. We greatly appreciate your service.
Mr. Miller.
Ms. Cox, since Dr. Rogers took a point of personal privilege, I'll take one as well from a timing perspective. Yesterday was Mother's Day, and I have a bit of a unique perspective on this board, if you look at the board. I just want to tell the ladies here how much I appreciate serving with them. And these ladies are all wives and mothers first, and then dedicate their time significantly. And it's not just the six of them here, but Dr. Rapp, who equally sacrifices a lot of time, and then Jamie Riggle, Dr. Rogers' secretary, who keeps us all in line. Thank you guys for everything you do to support us and for the community. And Amanda. I'm sorry, I didn't see Amanda over there.
And all the moms out there.
Please rise for our pledge from students from Homestead Elementary.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, we'd like to recognize our wonderful students tonight. We have Kate Mason, Annika Sharma, Kate Ho, and Sophia Greer. If your parents here, please rise and be recognized. Kate Mason, Annika Sharma, Katie Ho, and Sophia Greer. Okay, the Lewisville ISD Board of Trustees meets monthly to receive reports from staff and take action on recommendations from the superintendent. The board receives the agenda and all the supporting documentation 10 days in advance of these regular meetings, which allows us to ask and receive questions of many of our questions. In addition, the board also meets in regularly scheduled workshops and work sessions where staff directions and presentations are given to many of our agenda items. This protocol means a lengthy discussion or a litany of questions on every agenda item often is not necessary, and as a board, we should have appropriate knowledge and preparation for responses regarding the content of our meeting tonight. So we've already recognized our elected officials, and our first order of business is to elect our officers. And I would like to take a point of privilege myself. It's been an honor and pleasure serving as the president of the board. I could not do it without being with a fine group of people. I will tell you, this board truly cares about the outcome of student achievement and students in this district, and we are blessed to have such a great group looking after our district. So I just want to say thank you, and thank you to Ms. Sells, who served as secretary, and serving with Vice President Ms. Timish. I very much appreciate this board and all the hard work they do, so thank you. So we're going to start with our board president first. Would someone like to make a motion regarding the board president?
I have one. I move to nominate Catherine Sells as board president.
Okay, Ms. Lazan, that's a motion for Catherine Sells. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Timish. Any discussion? All in favor? That's 7-0. Motion carries. Congratulations, Ms. Sells. You will now take over the meeting.
Thank you, Mrs. Cox. I appreciate the opportunity to serve as the board president. We will continue on now with the rest of the officer elections, and the next is for board vice president. Would someone like to make a motion regarding the board vice president?
I would. I'd like to nominate Tracy Scott Miller as board vice president.
I have a motion to nominate Tracy Scott Miller as board vice president. Do I have a second? Ms. Timish seconds. All in favor, say aye. 7-0. Welcome, Mr. Miller. It's going to take me a little bit to get out of the habit of writing down everything as I have in the past 2 years, so give me a moment. Our next officer position is secretary. Would someone like to make a motion regarding the board secretary?
I would like to nominate Allison Lasan for LASD School Board Secretary.
Ms. Timish has made the motion to nominate Allison Lasan as the board secretary. Do I have a second? Mr. Miller seconded that. All in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Appreciate that, and welcome Ms. Lasan as the new secretary. We'll be meeting soon, I'm sure, to discuss. The next order of business is to consider action on items discussed in closed session. First is personnel recommendations. Would somebody like to make a motion?
I move that all personnel recommendations be approved as presented by administration.
The motion has been made by Ms. Hassett. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Cox. All in favor? Motion carries 7-0. We have next on the agenda the principal at Lakeview Middle School. Would somebody like to make that motion? Ms. Prosnick.
I move to approve Barry Deister as principal of Lakeview Middle School as recommended by Administration and Personnel Selection Committee. Congratulations.
Do I have a second? Ms. Timish, sorry. Is there any discussion or comment on this? Seeing that there's none, everybody in favor? The motion carries 7-0. That's great, and welcome. Welcome to Lakeview Middle School. The next item on the agenda is principal at Flower Mound High School. Would someone like to make a motion?
Okay.
Ms. Lasan.
I move to approve Chad Russell as principal of Flower Mound High School as recommended by administration and a personnel selection committee.
Do I have a second? All in favor? Oh, discussion. Yes, sorry. Is there any discussion or comment?
Ms. Sells, I have some comments. This has nothing to do with Mr. Russell. I'm just asking the district that I would like them to enhance their processes of the way we look for internal and external candidates in the future in all of our process that we do. So I'm just throwing that out there for the district.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other discussion or comments? All in favor of the motion? Motion passes 7-0. Okay, we're going to move on in our agenda. Our next item up on the agenda is our principal at Flower Mound Elementary School. Would someone like to make a motion? Ms. Hassett?
I move to approve Christy Van Scoik as principal of Flower Mound Elementary School as recommended by administration and a personnel selection committee.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Cox. Is there any discussion or comment? Seeing none, can I have a vote? All in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Congratulations. Okay, moving on in the agenda, our next item is Executive Director of CTE. Do I have someone that would like to make a motion? Ms. Timish?
I move to approve Jason Cooper as Executive Director, Career and Technical Education, as recommended by administration and the Personnel Selection Committee.
Do I have a second? Ms. Hassett? Is there any discussion or comment? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Congratulations. Okay, Chief Communications Officer Amanda Brim will now share with us this month's recognitions and student spotlight.
Oh, this is mine. Oh, mine first. Okay, I'm first up. We actually, our student councils at our high schools just do amazing work. They do just endless community service, and so they did a project through my student advisory group where they held an event and they raised some funds, and so they decided, these are all student leaders, so they decide what project to do, and they decide to donate some money to Lizdola. But one of the things that we talk to the sponsors about is a lot of times these kids, as seniors, really sort of go as unsung heroes in their school. And so we created an application where any senior student council member could apply, and then we blindly read the applications. And so we have 5 students here tonight that actually each won $500 scholarships. And so is Brooke here? Come on up, Brooke. How are you doing? You can come up with her, Miss Carbs. Come on. So this is Brooke. So congratulations, Brooke. Don't lose it. There's $500 cash. So she'll come. All right, we'll get them all. So okay, and the next student council winner is Jacqueline Hernandez. So come on up, Jacqueline. Do not lose the envelope. It's got cash in it.
Really?
Yeah. And then we have Ann Cluthy. So come on up. And her sponsors, congratulations, Ann. Keep that envelope. How are y'all doing? And then we have Brendan Pierce. So come on up. Congratulations, Brendan. Don't lose the envelope. And last but not least, we have Jasmine Vallejo, right? So congratulations, and her sponsor. Congratulations, Jasmine. All right, so I know they're going to want to take your picture, so if you'll step up and let's sort of make a little semicircle. While they're getting ready, by the way, these non-scholarship winners, which are all the student council sponsors, these folks are the lifeblood of our high schools and our community. So while I have all of you here, just thanks so much for the work that you do. Congratulations.
Both Flower Mound and Marcus High School had students bring home top honors from the Texas Association of Future Educators Annual State Teach Tomorrow Summit. FMHS received blue ribbons in secondary and elementary interactive bulletin boards, chapter yearbooks, and teacher-created materials, as well as a silver recognition in professional portfolio. In addition, FMHS senior Yenna Park won and received a national qualification in the Exploring Education Support Service Careers category. She was also named Texas Student of the Year, a first for an LISD student to receive. The prestigious distinction also comes with a $1,000 scholarship. MHS won Outstanding TAFE Chapter and had 5 students qualify for nationals. The Marauders also received several blue ribbons in the following categories: teacher create materials, interactive bulletin boards, project visuals for recreation, fundraising, leadership, and service. One team claimed a Gold Seal Award for their breakout session presentation. Congratulations, future educators. LISD is proud of you.
There we go. I'm Claudia Bell. I am the Taffy teacher leader, as we call ourselves, at Flower Mound High School. I'd like to introduce to you Savannah Peterson, Lauren Bordelon, Sharon Yoon, and Tahayan Choi. We have 5 others that were unable to be here tonight, including our student that was the first from Lewisville ISD to be named Student of the Year. These are all in Taffy because they are interested in a career in education, so it's wonderful to be able to support them in this way. And thank you, Ms. Lale, for your support, your many, many years of support. You are going to be missed by us greatly.
Good evening. My name is Kim Watson, and I am the teacher leader of these future educators at Marcus High School. Do we have any of the Marcus High School parents here with us? We'd like to say thank you to you first. Please stand up, Marcus Taffy parents. These 5 future educators from Marcus High School represent the 32 students from Marcus High School that competed at state. All 32 members came home with a top honor in their awards with a blue ribbon. But these 5 young ladies qualified in the top 5 to compete at the national contest. I'd like to introduce to you Miss Alana Baxter. Alana will be going to her 3rd nationals. She placed first and was the Judge's Choice Award in Lesson, Plan, and Delivery Art. Our sophomore student, Taylor Mendoza, will be making her first trip to nationals, and she placed first and won the Judge's Choice Award in Lesson Plan and Delivery STEM. Brooke Linker is a senior, and she will be going back to nationals for the 2nd time, and she placed in the top 5 with a humanities lesson. Senior Morgan Maxwell will be going to the national event for the first time, and she placed in the top 5 with a career in technology lesson. And our junior representative, Victoria Ward, will be competing in Exploring Support Services. She job shadowed a librarian at one of our elementary schools and then reports to the judges on that. So would you please help me wishing them good luck? And our principal is coming to the stage to join us, Mr. Will Skelton.
The National Association of Elementary School Principals recently announced Lewisville ISD's Donald, Garden Ridge, and Liberty Elementary Schools as 3 of only 39 elementaries nationwide to be named Honor Council of Excellence winners. This award recognizes outstanding achievement by student councils in the area of community service, student leadership, citizenship, and school spirit based on a completed application encompassing activities from an entire school year. With the guidance of campus administration, staff, and parents, student councils are campus cornerstones, building partnerships with connections between its community and campus traditions. Congratulations to these 3 schools. Thank you for positively representing not only your campus, but your district nationwide. LISD is proud of you.
Good evening. Thank you all for being here. My name is Michelle Wooten, and I am the principal at Donald Elementary. And I have the pleasure of announcing some amazing students and teachers who made this honor all possible. But before we begin, if you are one of my parents of these awesome student council members, can you please stand so we can give you a round of applause? Yes, that means you. Okay, and boys and girls, as I call your names, since I wasn't up at the second level, just raise your hand and wave to them because it's not necessarily in order. So we have Jack Wazowski, Jocelyn Wooten, I may know her, Allie Medina, Tierney Jackson, Jonathan Chen, Cooper Skinner, and this is where my glasses need to come into play, Allie Holler, Joel Hahn, Ella Heath, Caleb Albuck, Emma Keed, Caden Cutia, Kate Santaland. I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses. This is not very large. Sophia Colleton, Addison Clay, Sean Fenzick, Layla Tacker, and Sarah Ripko. There we go.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Emily Mansfield, and I have the privilege and honor of being the counselor at Garden Ridge Elementary and also one of the student council sponsors. So tonight we have our principal, Kelly Roden. We have our president, Jane Pallon, our vice president, Cammie Rugg, our secretary, Kate Vaughn, and our treasurer, Connor Dean. Parents of these awesome kids, please stand up. We'd love to give you a round of applause for all of your hard work.
Good evening. I'm Tim Greenwell, the proud principal and advisor of the Student Council at Liberty Elementary School. With me tonight representing our 4 advisors is advisor Laura Trainer, and 3 of our 66 members. We have AJ Fouché, Nico De La Sierra, and President JC Ellig. We have 3 mothers and a sister. If the 3 moms and sister will please stand up. 3 moms and a sister.
3 Dale Jackson Career Center students recently won big in the 2019 Skills USA Texas State Championship. Congratulations to Nathan Newbern, who won first place for his coin pusher. Kyle Hassett and Jared Lane also won first place for their computer desk. In addition, Kyle won first place in skills and first place for his poker table. On top of winning Best of Show in building trades and overall Best of Show in architecture and construction, Kyle is set to represent Texas in the National Skills Competition in Louisville, Kentucky this summer. Skills USA is a partnership of students, teachers, and industry representatives who work closely together to ensure America continues to produce a skilled workforce. Congratulations, Kyle, Nathan, and Jared.
I'm Joe Davis. I'm the cabinet making teacher, and on stage we have Nate Newbern, we have Kyle Hassett, and Jared Lane. And would the parents of these students please stand up also? Thank you.
Four Flower Mound High School robotics teams dominated their respective state and world competitions. This year, in Vex Robotics and First Robotics, both teams advanced to their respective international competitions. Team 365X won the Texas State Championship and Vex State Championship and was named Robotic Skills Challenge State Champions and Excellence Award State Champions. The team is also a triple world qualifier, set a new state record, and still holds the world champion title in skills. In addition, Team 365X broke a world record, beating out highly competitive high school and college teams from across the globe. Team 2019F won third place in the Vex State Championships, first place in the Amaze category, second in the Skills Challenge, and are double world qualifiers. Team 4192 won the first robotics competition, Hopper Subdivision Championship, an achievement of great magnitude, finishing among the top 24 teams out of the 700 competing at Worlds. And for the first time ever, FMHS had an all-girls robotics team win second place in state. Congratulations to all of Flower Mound's robotics students, and thank you for all of your hard work and determination to instill the love of robotics and technology.
I'd like to introduce the following students. First, our administrators. Mrs. Who wouldn't come up, by the way? Mrs. Hollowally, Gashpir Hollowally, Mr. and Mrs. Clymer, John Teague, Rashi, Adrian Rishi, Mahek, Jacob, Tothun, Adam, Caitlin Drew, Sullivan, Adam Yoke, Natalie Yoke, and Angela Gomez. Kind of got excited over there, but these are your state and TSA and state world champions. We're gonna.
Technology students from Flower Mound, Hebron, and Lewisville high schools dominated the 2019 Texas Technology Student Association State Championship competition. Flower Mound won second in state overall with 68 first place, 41 second place, 31 third place wins, and 32 finalist pins. 2 Hebron students claimed second place wins, and Lewisville brought home 1 first place win, 1 second place win, and 3 third place wins. Congratulations to this year's LISD TSA students, and good luck to those who qualified to compete in the national competition this summer.
All these students are also are playing double jeopardy today. They all are also in TSA, along with Martin Sullivan, Natalie Yoke, and Adrian Gonzalez.
My name is Carrie Nathan. I'm here to honor my Hebron High School national participants. They are all studying for AP exams tonight, so they couldn't be here. But we have 5 students moving on to nationals, a team of 4 in music production, and a gentleman in flight endurance.
Well, I'd like to introduce Connor Mihalik. He's our president of the FTC robot that took first place and best in state for TSA as a FTC entry. And I'd like to have his parents and Richard, my mentor, stand up also. Appreciate them so much, and appreciate the board for sending us to state. We really appreciate that, and thank you very much. And one other shout out to our principal, Mr. Jeffrey Kosh. Appreciate you and your support for our club. Many of our members couldn't be here tonight, but without his support, we couldn't operate. He really helped us a lot this year.
Students from across the district have recently excelled in some very prestigious and highly competitive art competitions. This year, Lewisville ISD had 4 students earn prestigious VASE awards, including Elizabeth Champion and Claire Song earning Gold Sills, which is the highest honor one can earn in VASE. All Gold Sill pieces will be exhibited in a variety of venues across the state, culminating with the Gold Sill exhibition at the annual TAEA Fall Conference. Also, more than 340,000 works of art and writing were submitted in the Scholastic Art and Writing Contest, with less than 1% of the submissions being recognized at the national level. LHS Harmon had 1 silver key, Marcus High School had 1 gold key, Flower Mound High School had 4 gold keys and 7 silver keys. Hebron High School had 12 gold keys, with Evelyn Ka earning a national silver medal. An LHS sophomore, Anu Law, was named the grand prize winner in the 26th Congressional District of Texas High School Art Competition. As the grand prize winner, Anu's photography will be framed and sent to Washington, D.C. for display in the United States Capitol building for an entire year. Her win also includes a cash prize, a $3,000 scholarship, and 2 airline tickets to D.C. to join Congressman Michael Burgess at a national reception in June. Congratulations, students! LISD is proud of your creativity and your school's exceptional fine arts programs.
Hi, I'm Marty Crook from Flower Mound High School. I'm here to announce our people from Flower Mound High School. First, let me introduce the instructors. I'm Marty Crook from Flower Mound High School. We have Suzanne McLeod, Shelley Harper, and Jason Hyde. And so we had a great group this year, a really wonderful crew. And so I'm going to announce them. Just go ahead and step forward when I call your name. Sam Parrott had a silver key. Excellent. Alexandra Santiago had a silver key. Kylie Cochran had a gold key. Lauren Center had a gold and a silver key. And Austin Todd had a gold and a silver key. Our parents here, go ahead and have it stand up. We'll give you guys a hand too, because I know several of you are here. Yeah. Excellent.
So I'm Josh Fletcher. I teach at LHS Harmon, and this is Channa Jamie. She's my cohort. We have 2 of our winners tonight. One of our winners that have a silver key couldn't make it tonight because she's also studying for AP exam. That's Hunji Kim. Rachel Cantu on the end medaled at state, and Anu Lau won the Congressional Art Competition. So if their parents are here and you'd like to stand up, we'd like to recognize you as well. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Jen Russell and I am one of the 4 teachers at Hebron High School, and 5 including Ross Hines at Hebron 9. We had an incredible art year, 16 state qualifiers out of 40 odd children that we entered into VACE. We had gold keys, many, but today I brought the the ones that I could tear away from the AP study books, and I had to really convince them. But here's some of our state qualifiers and one of our Gold Teal winners. Today we have Claire Song, Jungmin Kim, and Grace King here with you, and I cannot express how utterly proud I am, and thank you for going along with our crazy curriculum at Hebron High School. But thank you so much for being here, and if any of the parents are here, parents, I know we had parents. Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Will Skelton. I'm principal at Marcus High School. I'm just here because my student for the vase competition couldn't be here. Her name is Amy Yoon, and she got a gold key for the Scholastic Art Award. So just wanted to thank the board for supporting us in this endeavor, and we'll make sure that we get her that award tomorrow and tell her how proud we are of her. So thank you.
This year, Flower Mound, Hebron, Lewisville, and Marcus High Schools each had multiple first and second place winners at the Texas DECA 2019 State Career Development Conference in Dallas. All first place winners qualified to participate in the International DECA Conference. To get ready for the conference, students spent several months studying, completing practice exams, researching, writing, and developing presentation visuals and practicing their presentation for their respective events. Congratulations to all of our DECA state winners and to all of the first place state winners who competed in DECA's 2019 International Career Development Conference.
Well, we're certainly proud to be here. I'm proud of all these students, and there's quite a few of our students that couldn't be here tonight from our high schools. I first wanted to introduce Flower Mound High School. Their DEC advisor is Miss Jessica Brown, and she couldn't be here tonight. But their student who is here is Shobitha Dindakuri. So thank you. And there are other students that weren't here: Nikhil Gudati, Ashwin Murali, Shavingi Agati, June Kwan, Anshika Kandala. Those are from Flower Mound High School. From Hebron High School, the DEC advisor there is Julie Seifert, and she couldn't be here tonight either. We do have one of their students here that we're excited to announce, Alicia Patel. And I don't have the list of their others, but they had quite a few other first and second places. For Marcus, my group, I'm Kendra Day. I'm the DEC advisor and the proud DECA mom of these other kids here. Our winners at state, we had Anusha Hegde, Miguel Elliott, Mihir Cherikapali, Angela Abraham, and the others that could not be here tonight are Nick Fopiano, Peyton Kurkowski, Fiona Chun, Spurthi Narendra, Mahika Kandanala, Risha Buda, Ria Buda, and Sarah Salim. Our first place winners at state who qualified to compete at internationals, we have Michael Soldner, Devin Weddle, Ronit Yawalkar, Carol Ann Starks, and Nikita Ragam. And I did want to add that Carol Ann and Nikita, they both, when they competed at internationals, made the finals, which is a huge, huge deal. That's the top 20 in their events. And Carol Ann also got a top 10 presentation medal. And then they both competed in the finals, and Nikita Ragam actually got called at the Grand Awards for top 10 in the nation for her event. So super proud of all these kids. And we'd love to recognize their parents as well. I know they're here. Some of them are here.
Hello, my name is Valerie Cooper, and I'm the DECA advisor at Lewisville High School, and I'm here tonight to recognize my outstanding DECA star, Mira Kelleher. She was a state finalist in DECA this year, and unfortunately, she had prior commitments tonight, so she couldn't be here. However, she wanted to pass along her gratitude to the board for the recognition and hopes to see you again next year during her senior year of DECA competition. So thank you very much for this recognition.
Bringing Texans interested in the classics together since the late 1960s, the Texas State Junior Classical League fosters the study of ancient Greek and Latin topics in the modern age. This year, students from the Flower Mound, Marcus, Hebron, Lewisville, and the Colony High Schools had 31 students place first through third in the 2019 Texas State JCL Convention. Congratulations and good luck to those who will continue on to the National Convention this summer.
I'm Adam Sales. I teach Latin at Flower Mound High School, and this is Jackson Kimball for Flower Mound High School.
Hello, my name is Courtney Herring. I teach at Hebron High School. These are two representing the 23 students we had place first through third. That calculus test is a killer. So these two ladies placed first or second in multiple events. Again, they did have some counterparts that couldn't be here tonight, but this is Alicia Patel and Aisha Aslam.
I'm Janet England. I teach Latin at Lewisville High, and we have Aaron Jackson, who placed the second time, and Stephen Whitaker, who placed second at state. And we'll recognize their parents as well.
Hi, I'm Melisande Santos. I teach Latin at Marcus High School, and I also have a few up here from the Colony High School, as Miss Lori could not be here today. Actually, these first two closest to me are from the Colony. This is Rihanna Franks and Melvin Flores. Then from Marcus High School, we have Nolan Westrope and Uma Obalapuram and Landon Bradley. Parents, whoa. Parents, are y'all here? I know I've got a couple. There we go.
In April, Flower Mound High School's boys soccer team captured the University Interscholastic League 6A state championship after defeating San Antonio Lee in a shootout. The game was won in thrilling fashion as the Jags outlasted the Volunteers 4-1 in penalty kicks, following a scoreless regulation and overtime. The Jaguars' road to the program's first ever state championship title also included an impressive 14-game winning streak. In addition to the historic season, 19 players and managers earned academic all-state honors, with multiple players named to all-district, all-area, and all-state teams. Head coach David Doyle was also named Area Coach of the Year. Incredible season, Jags. Congratulations. Both Flower Mound.
I'm David Doyle, boys coach at Flower Mound High School. I'd like to introduce Ms. Sonia Lale, our principal, and some of our other administrative staff down there. Robbie Waters, my assistant coach. Shane Papaluch, Wyatt Brennan, Riley Hooper, Kyle Winter, Jeremy Gordon, Aditya Patel, Peter Hitterich, Zach Testa, Parker George, Hector Torres, Jackson Captain, Nate Mulkey, Nico Valles, Nico Zeppenfield, Brock Clayton, and Reese Mullins. Thank you. Parents, thank you very much for all your support this year.
And Coach Doyle, could we maybe next year not make the games quite so close? I mean, there was just nail biter after nail biter. So
that wouldn't be as much fun, though.
Oh, well, that's true. Okay. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you. So scoot in.
Okay, moving on, we will hear requests to address the board. Persons desiring to address the Board of Trustees must fill out a speaker's card prior to the meeting. No presentation shall exceed 3 minutes. The board cannot deliberate on any subject that is not included on the agenda. We have one speaker tonight, Aaron Bixler.
Hi, my name is Erin Bixler. I'm a senior at Flower Mound High School, and I'm going to be addressing the suicide prevention program within our district. So I remember being advised about suicide prevention for the very first time in 9th grade. And like the majority of students, I was assigned to sit in an unfamiliar room with about 20 other kids I didn't know. And what followed was a basic PowerPoint backed up by an unknown voice listing off rudimentary information about mental illnesses and suicide. The thing is, this is how our suicide prevention curriculum has remained for the last 4 years of my high school career, ineffective and impactless. But how am I so sure of this? During sophomore year, I made the plan to end my own life. And in the midst of everything, not once did the PowerPoints from our weekly advisories cross my mind. Just like myself, too often do people with mental health issues get the attention they so desperately need until they've reached a total behavioral crisis. So if our mental health curriculum has the potential to be a powerful resource for students struggling like I was, why are we okay with putting it on the back burner? When I first realized the issues surrounding the district's suicide prevention curriculum after getting the help I needed, I proceeded to contact the counselors at my school, conveying that, as someone who has struggled with mental health throughout my entire life, the curriculum was inadequate. Since my sophomore year, we've been trying to make our school's curriculum more impactful and relatable by having students share their own stories. But each time a student wants to make a difference in the prevention program, we're bombarded by papers that require signatures from parents and liability forms just to voice our own experiences and opinions. So why are students in LASD encouraged to share their own stories and help with the prevention program, but we're hindered by these specific requirements? In addition, we're not only hindered by these so-called liabilities, but also by the environment our students are placed in for weekly school-wide advisories. Suicide is already viewed as a touchy subject to talk about, but when we're put in a classroom of students we've never talked to beforehand, how are we expected to effectively talk about it? We don't feel comfortable or confident enough to talk about suicide simply because we lack the experience. And if we're really expected to normalize the conversation surrounding mental health, we simply just need to start being advised about it from an earlier age. Not only do we need to focus on the advisory of students at an earlier age, but also the advisory of parents as well. And I understand that our district provides seminars for parents who want to further their understanding of mental illness and suicide prevention for their child. But what about the hundreds of parents that don't attend these meetings? Parents and guardians need to be directly informed through email on what their child is learning in their advisory classes and should be encouraged to start a conversation with their child about how they've been feeling. LASD's suicide prevention curriculum has the potential to be a life preserver for those who need it, so I believe we need to constantly be putting more effort into making it more effective and impactful. And so you might be wondering why I'm so passionate about making a change to this curriculum, so I'll leave you with these words from Sue Claybold. If love were enough to stop someone who is suicidal from hurting themselves, suicides would hardly ever happen, but love is not enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Erin. Moving on to our information items. Our first information item, Dr. Bonner, will be our Lewisville Education Foundation.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Sells, board members, thank you very much. The great Mary Jacoby from DATCU will do the presentation tonight while Ms. McCree is out of town. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bonner. And good evening, everybody. I'm here to present the quarterly update for the Lewisville Education Foundation, and hopefully our PowerPoint will be pulling up here in a minute. I'll go ahead and get started, and then we'll get into the presentation. LEF was pleased to be able to award scholarships to graduating seniors. We had our scholarship ceremony on April 23rd. We gave out 330 scholarships for a total of $225,505, and also gave out 8 LASD staff fellowships in the amount of $5,500. Any of you that were there that evening know that it's a wonderful ceremony, and we were happy to be able to provide that to our graduating seniors. On April 30th, we had our LEF Golf Classic. Bright Wealth Management was again our presenting sponsor. It was a sold-out event, and this event continues to be a great favorite event for our supporters. The golfers that come out really love the event, and we have a lot of really good support and volunteer help. This year, we actually had the LHS Stuco kids come out and help with the volunteering for the day. So that was a great addition we had to the golf tournament. We also wanted to give a special thank you to Coaster for bringing out the food truck that evening as well. We had many sponsors for that event. First Student, Texas Health Presbyterian, Sampax 5-Star Ford were just some of the presenters and sponsorship of that evening, as well as we had a lot of sponsors from Green Meadows Landscaping, DACU, Sigma Signs. A lot of were whole sponsors for the event as well. It is teacher grant season at LEF, and so we want to encourage all of our teachers to apply for teacher grants. The applications are due on May 24th. They can go to the LEF website to apply, and we will be awarding those teacher grants in August. And if any of you have ever been involved with that, that's a lot of fun as well, too. Total, LEF gave out in 2018-2019 total awards of $412,745. That included scholarship, teachers grants, program grants, campus grants, and awards of excellence, as well as fellowship. The school of this year's school for LEF, in addition, also gave $54,500 through the Employee Giving Campaign, which was undesignated funds that went back to campus grants. We also want to remind everybody the best way to thank your teacher for a great, amazing year for your kids is to honor them through the LEF Changing Children's Lives Awards program. And we also have a couple events coming up. One I'm extremely involved in, as I'm co-chairing the event this year for LEF, is our Evening for Education. Our theme this year is One Team, One Dream. It'll be September 7th at the Hilton Garden Inn. And then we also have the Colin Allen Memorial Golf Event on October 7th, 2019, and that'll be at the Denton Country Club. Well, thank you guys for your support, as always, for LEF, and appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary. Are we going to have a video, or she just gave it? Okay. Okay. As long as it's not coming, we can move on then. Does anybody have any comments?
I have a comment, Ms. Sells. I'd just like to thank Ms. Pelfrey and Mary and the entire board for all your hard work and all you do for the students of LISD. Each year you continue to bring more endowers and increase those numbers. So I really appreciate it and look forward to increased numbers for next year for teachers and students.
Any other comments? I just thank you for everything you do for our students and for our teachers, and just providing a way for us to give back to our community, those that want to serve. So thank you very much. Thank you for coming. Moving on, our demographer report, first quarter 2019, Dr. Coburn.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. You'll recall that we now have Mr. Rocky Gardner comes for the first and third quarters, and then we provide you with a board update on the second and fourth quarters. Also, just to prime this, you received the full report in your packets, and you also have a slightly condensed report. We wanted to just hit the high points. When we realized we were going to be doing nothing but congratulating our awesome students for a really long time, we thought we would maybe hit a few of the high points for you, but you have the entire presentation as well. And both myself and Mr. Gardner, we can answer any questions you may have offline in the future, anything you have about that. So I'll turn it over to Rocky at this time.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be back. I'll move along pretty briskly because I know you guys have a big agenda, but feel free to slow me down at any point. I turn with this. Am I doing this? I'm doing it right. Oh, okay. Economic conditions, we've pretty much seen this. It's the same story, second verse in many ways. We've got over 100,000 jobs being created annually in Dallas-Fort Worth. We've got unemployment rates that are well below 5%, which is considered full employment, and we're actually well below 4% right now in DFW. Almost 35,000 homes being started in the last year. We've likely plateaued from an annual starts position right now. Housing's kind of just tabled a little bit. We'll talk more about that. We look at this is kind of a new, just a report just to show you guys what the annual enrollment has looked like statewide. And what we've seen is a tremendous slowdown the last 4 or 5 years. Last year, total school district enrollment, it grew by just 32,000 students. So one of the lowest annual enrollment changes in any recent time, any recent memory. If you remember, just 5 years ago, we were adding almost 80,000 students a year. That number is now down to 32,000. Right here in Dallas-Fort Worth, in regions 10 and 11, you can see that Lewisville declined by 583 students over the last 5 years, but we've seen a decrease overall in this area as well in public schools. You can see the areas highlighted in yellow on this report are areas that lost enrollment, and of course we've continued to see some strong enrollment in some of the northern areas as you get out away from the core of the metroplex. If we look at trends, speaking of growth, Lewisville's now added 1,283 starts in the trailing 4 quarters. So again, this was through the end of the first quarter. So through the end of March, we had 1,283 starts, 1,142 closings. Your starts are down just slightly annually, from the last quarter, and closings are up. And that's a good sign. I'm going to talk in a little bit about inventory and inventory getting worked down, and that's one of the reasons that starts begin to slow down is builders, they try to work off inventory. But we do have almost 1,900 vacant developed lots. These are lots that are ready to be built on today. They could be started at any point. So you got 1 year's worth of growth, almost a year and a half worth of growth available right now. If we look at this by quarter, you can see that the first quarter at 317 starts is a really high first quarter, so we're leading in to the busy summertime. Your closings are at 265. You can see 1 year ago the first quarter was at 185. So a strong closings. Again, we're working down inventory. And where are those? If I push the button, where are those closings? We track the top 10. And what's interesting is your top 10 closings represent 565 closings. So less than 50% of all your closings, or right at 50%, occurred in these 10 developments. Now, what's unusual is that many districts that we work with, they're fast growth districts, these top 10 represent probably 70 or 80% of the annual closings. In Lewisville ISD, there's such a broad gap between, we're tracking over 60 developments. There's 60 subdivisions that have at least one closing or more. And so you can see that these 10 represent 565, but there's another 50 that are closing over 500 homes each year. And if we look at where activity occurs, I like this chart because it's a real quick picture. Where you see color is where you see activity. This is by elementary attendance zones, so you can see Flower Mound, Indian Creek, and Castle Hills have all had strong activity. I want you to focus for just a minute. Even this looks out of focus maybe to me, but that might be my eyesight. The inventory column where it says 865 homes in inventory. Inventory are homes that are finished, vacant, or under construction. So it combines that under construction column of 586 with finished vacant home. That inventory total is now up to right at about 9 months supply. Equilibrium is generally considered 6 months. So we have a fairly high inventory in Lewisville ISD, so that's why you might see starts begin to slow a little bit because they're going to want to work off this high inventory. We've got over 250, about 250 finished vacant homes. Those are homes that are on the ground right now that could be sold, and then we've got another 586 under construction. So those are just things that we keep an eye on when we're doing projections because we don't want to see that inventory build too much because that kind of gets ahead of themselves. And part of it that is price point because the price point when you get to that 400 and over, it takes longer to build a home, and that price point is also beginning to sell a little bit slower too. This district overview, these are just all the developments that we're tracking. Like I said, there's over 60 developments. You can see little green squares, yellow squares. The green are active developments. The yellow are future developments. And we've got groundwork underway. So anytime you see a red outline, that means they're beginning to move dirt. So we've got another 1,000 lots where they're moving dirt that they're going to deliver. Those lots will soon be vacant developed lots. We focused on a couple here, the Castle Hills Southwest. They've got 313 lots, 27 homes under construction in that 377 to 500K price point. we just picked a few for this quarter. That me? Okay. Lakewood and the Point, this is a future mixed-use development with 585 future multifamily units. The site plan was approved in February, and they hope to start phase one during the spring. And so they'll begin moving dirt about a year from now for those units. And then Lakewood's got 170 future lots, 850 multifamily, and that zoning request is currently under review for that area there. Again, that's in the southern part of the Bluebonnet zone there. And the village at Lewisville, there's 245 future single-family lots here, 347 multifamily. We don't really have a timeline for the start of this groundwork, but again, this is a pretty significant development that could happen over there in the Valley Ridge zone. So with that, I'm going to swing on. These are your enrollment projections, and we only put one page for this brief because the projections haven't changed since the last quarter. We have not made adjustments to it. Right now, we're expecting Lewisville to decline by almost 500 students next year. Just a couple things I want to remind you of. That negative, a lot of that negative, keep in mind that your exiting class is over 800 students larger than your entering classes right now. So a lot of that negative growth is just because the size of the exiting classes and the entering classes. And we also forecasted next year for a fairly large kindergarten class based on a very large birth rate that occurred about 6 years ago, about 5 years ago. And so we've accounted for that as well. So we've swung your kindergarten up by about 100 students, where last year it declined by 40 students. And then again, we tried to account for that. So these next few charts, I'm going to go through them. Our team has kind of been working diligently to try to understand charter schools. And I think everyone's trying to understand charter schools. So we provide quite a few slides, I think, in your other presentations, but I'll go through these pretty quick. This map shows all the charter schools that we've mapped. We believe we've mapped every charter school that we're aware of in Texas as of now. 750 charter school campuses are open across Texas, representing over 300,000 students. They grew by 20,000 students last year. And keep in mind, my chart that I showed earlier with 32,000 student growth, that included these charter schools. So really, public schools grew by just 12,000 students last year in comparison to the charter growth of 20,000 students. And we saw a survey that charter school did, so we have to quantify the survey. They say there's over 140,000 students on waiting lists right now for charter schools. A challenge in itself. If we look in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, there's 220 charter campuses that operate within Regions 10 and 11. 2018 and 19, there were over 100,000 students attending these campuses. 11 new campuses opened just last year. We think they're increased by just about 500 students. The reason that seems kind of low is because of where they report. They don't necessarily report their growth where the actual campus is. It's a tricky thing, and so we are doing our best. Our team's trying to figure out how we can track the charter to the district to the campus, and it really does get tricky. We know that there's a few new ones coming up this year. The only thing I might say about Lewisville ISD is that the Founders Classical Academy that's been in the temporary site, they now have a permanent site that's getting finished now. They've been adding one grade a year since they opened in 15-16, so their impact on Lewisville ISD has kind of already been felt. Now, what we don't know is if they've increased their capacity significantly with this move. And if they did, then you could see a little hit from it. But if they didn't increase their capacity significantly, then when they're adding a grade a year, those students are already there. And so that impact is kind of, mitigated just a little bit. Just a few challenges to tracking charter schools, and this is just for information purposes. The physical school location versus the TEA reporting locations are very different. The flexibility with facilities, the temporary buildings, shorter construction times, different city approval processes. In some cases, they don't even need a building permit if they're moving into to some of their locations. So that's how quickly they can move in. They could announce a charter in February and move in September without any problem. In charter versus campuses, there's one charter could be many campuses, and so that's a little bit tough as well. Public information requests. We reach out to every charter and try to get as much information as we can. They are not obligated by law to create a new report. So if we're not asking, if we don't ask it in just the right way, they can say, well, we don't have that report available, and that's an okay answer. So there are challenges, and I really am only saying this not as an excuse, but as an opportunity for us to work together. When you hear about a charter, let us know. We'll chase it down, and Dr. Coburn and I have already been doing some of that. We try to track it as best we can. This is just a little example. These 8 campuses that are shown here are Harmony Public Schools. They report their enrollment down in Waco. So if you see how that's where the challenge becomes. When we're trying to understand their impacts on Dallas-Fort Worth, it's hard to pull it out. It makes it tough. So the results in the regional and district enrollment figures get skewed, and that's a little bit of a challenge. And I share that with you because this TEA report that I'm showing here on slide 19, you can run this report at your leisure. This day it's all available on TEA. But what you see here are a few inconsistencies. Where, for instance, in Houston, where it's showing 46,270 charter students and a decline of 12,036 students, that's not accurate. When we run the data, we learned that, I think it was KIPP, moved their reporting spot. So those 12,000 kids didn't necessarily leave Houston ISD. They're just being reported in a different region. And if we I'll flip to this next slide here, and it kind of emphasizes it. So what our team's gone in is we've geocoded these. We've completed the survey by where they live, and you can see there that the Houston number goes up to 71,848. So 25,570 more charter students than what TEA is reporting in Houston ISD. You see a similar thing in Region 11 with Fort Worth, 17,300 more students than what you saw on the previous page. In 13, which is the Austin region, it's 11,900 fewer students than what you saw on the other page. Again, these are just the way charters report their information, and TEA allows that based on their charters and their districts. I know I don't know if it's helpful, if it just generates more questions, but it's definitely interesting, and it's a challenge for you, as much as it is a challenge for us. Just in summary, unemployment rates are really, are traditionally, historically low. We've got the highest first quarter starts since 2016 in Indian Creek and Castle Hills. They represent 31% of your closings. Kamey and Independence account for over 31% of the future lots. When we know we're going to have a campus out there in a couple of years. There's approximately 220 charter school campuses in Dallas-Fort Worth with over 100,000 students. We believe your enrollment in 5 years is going to be right at 50,000 students, and we think you're just going to stay right at that 50,000 number. We're hopeful that we can contain that. So I know I went kind of fast, but I'd love to take questions.
Thank you, Rocky. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Awesome.
I don't see any. Thank you again for your report.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Moving on, our campus video streaming systems and related products and services. Mr. Colbeck.
Thank you, Ms. Sells. This is an information item, and as part of the 2017 technology bond projects, we had an area in that project list for streaming video solutions, and one of the areas that we have to take a look at is the streaming technology that's at the campus level. Currently, we have systems in there that they're about 6 years old, and what they're used for is some of them use that equipment for announcements, streaming live events. So what we've been working on is putting together, a kit of hardware for what would meet the campus's need. We Demoed that during the last Principal U meeting, had a chance to show examples of how that technology could be used with our campus principals, and just showing a show of hands across the room, it was unanimous. Everybody was looking for that type of technology to replace what they currently have. So what we're working on is putting together, as I said, an equipment list. We'll be working with procurement and contracts to get some pricing and bring this back as a discussion item.
Okay, does anybody have any questions or comments? Not? We'll move on. You do. Okay, Mr. Miller?
Let me just pull this up here. I was reading something today, Mr. Colbeck. I guess I was trying to understand. This said that certain facilities had it. They were streaming. We were going to provide. Okay, so here's the board book item. To better meet the needs of campuses, Technology Department is looking at to extend the functionality district-wide by placing video stream. So we don't have this capability in each of the schools today?
We do, but it's older technology. It's basically the encoding technology is a computer with basically an encoding card in it, and the cameras are non-HD. So as you know, the quality of that does not work, or perhaps if they're having technical problems with the card, what we're looking to do is replace those systems everywhere across the district and put a standard in there across the board.
Mr. Miller, I think we'll get more information as this moves on to discussion item. So
right, and just wanted. So this was itemized in the bond package, or is this just another thing that's kind of come up?
This is under the bond package for 2017. There was an area in there for video streaming, and if my memory's right, there was like $202,000 in there for that project. And if you recall, we brought an item forward to put the items in our data center, to have the encoders in there for video distribution. So those pieces are already in, and the technology here for at the campus side would actually, what we invested in that technology would actually be used for the distribution of this video.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Colbeck. Our next item on the agenda is our legislative update. Mr. Miller?
Okay, I'll provide this update for the 25 of you who are in the room, but absolutely certain, given the nature of the dynamics, that there are people watching this video or will watch it later. So I will try and do my best to summarize where we're at, and appreciate the input I received from trustees and Mr. Ball and Dr. Rapp. This will be a little bit longer than the last ones. I'm probably going to be more verbose than Dr. Rapp and Mr. Ball want, but I'm going to try and cover things that I think would put some things in context. So we know that today is 2 weeks from the end of the session that is scheduled. I say that because who knows what will happen. There may be an additional session, but the anticipated last day is the 14 days from today, so whatever that is, 27th. In this session, there were 7,281 bills or joint resolutions filed. In the 85th, as an example, there were 6,800, and 18% of those became law, or either the bill or the joint resolution became law. The priorities for the legislature this year, of course, two big ones that were important to us were school finance reform and property tax relief. While there were a lot of bills, there were 417 associated with this. That limited number says that it was a big focus for the top three, which again are the head of the Senate, the head of the House, and the governor. Property taxes were a big part of the continue to be a big part of the discussion. I'll touch on that briefly. And then, of course, the governor had 4 emergency items. One is teacher pay, school safety, mental health of students, and disaster relief. I mention those because I think it's important that while we didn't highlight some of those in our priorities, we certainly meant to reference them. So as it relates to LISD, we had 3 key focus areas. One was accountability. Here we wanted to prioritize learning standards. This was reducing the number of TEKS and making them deeper. Value students is more than a test score. I think that's obvious. School finance to build equity and transparency. This will tie a little bit into Mr. Garner's presentation. Revise the funding formulas, and then educational equity. Create consistent requirements, local control, respect community values, and support for local decision making, which I'll touch on in a bit. As it relates to accountability, there are a couple things that of note. So the first item for us was prioritize learning standards. There is a bill, House Bill 663, that reduces the TEKS that can be taught within a year. There's some other parameters around that. Where the Senate comes out on this, we'll see. I mean, they've got a couple weeks to work this out, but the Senate on these issues doesn't seem to have as much of a focus as the House does. So these issues for us are the prioritized learning standards and then value the students as more than a test score. As you know, Ms. Hassett kind of led the charge, and we appreciate that on House Bill 4242, where LISD was the only school district that wrote a resolution on that. The House did pass a bill on that. It does include an audit. It doesn't say there's a moratorium, but it does make references to some potential areas where the audit may eliminate the use of the scores in some sanctions or some grade placement, so we'll see what happens. The Senate has a bill, but again, there doesn't seem to be a lot of traction in this area because they're putting all their focus on the school finance formula and the property tax reform, or whatever that's going to be. Educational equity. This is, for us, we had any educational entity receiving public funds must operate in the same manner as traditional independent school districts, data collection system, and financial transparency. And I think Mr. Gardner made a great point about how there are some inequities in the system. But one of the things you see in this session, in the 85th, there was a focus on district innovation, which allowed ISDs to take on some provisions that charters had that were a little more lenient. Teacher certification, certain contractual things, although many of their teachers don't have contracts, but different provisions like that in reporting. This session, you see a lot of bills filed that bring a little more parity or congruency from other forms of taxpayer-funded education options, which I think you all know what those are, and ISDs. You see an intent by many in the House in particular to try and bring some alignment there to where there's a little more equity. One would be that a board of a open charter, meaning the alternative to taxpayer-funded schools, would have to have a board meeting in the county in which they reside. We just heard a perfect example of how some charter entities actually move around as it relates to their enrollment calculations and that type of thing. Again, very different for an ISD as it relates to educational equity. The data collection system, again, I think Mr. Garner kind of hit on some points on that. Local control. So I think it's, those who track this, and many do, whether they work for the district or in the community, hear about political subdivisions' plea for local control, meaning let us, who are closest to the constituents, the taxpayer, have the ability to make decisions. So this session, especially relative to increases in property values, we've heard a lot of comments from the legislature as it relates to what should happen with property taxes. As a reminder, we are not legislators. We work within a system, as do the city councils, as do the county commissioners, that is established for us under the Constitution, particularly Article 7, Section 1. And within that, we are accountable to the system of funding that is provided to us. That means has primarily been, in the last number of years, a heavier focus on property taxes being the means by which the legislature is very dependent. And so you get kind of mixed messages about local subdivisions or political subdivisions and what we're trying to do and what the legislature is trying to do and meet their commitments, the big three, on reducing property tax burdens. At the end of the day, for us, this is about the effective tax. Whether it's property taxes or consumption taxes, it's to be determined as to what the legislature is going to do in this area. So you hear a lot about the 2.5% cap. That sounds good. I'll tell you what, as a taxpayer, I'd love to have that. But the substitution for that would be a consumption tax that was probably more onerous than many of the kids that you saw here are able to pay just to support gas and clothes and the different things like that. So I think, as we know, there's a lot that needs to be done there. As it relates to build equity and transparency and revise the formulas, school finance, this is the biggie for all of us. I'll try and breeze through this a little bit, but this is the bill that's now known as the Senate bill, House Bill 3. So that was, House Bill 3 was the House's bill. It was a large bill that included a lot of items. The current House Bill 3 is an attempt to try and get closer. It has passed the Senate. They're now in committee. They have 2 weeks to come up with a bill, and I'm sure that the day after the session ends, Mr. Ball will get emails from us as to what the formulas will mean to us. But there's a lot coming on that. I'm going to jump through this. Property tax reform and school fine, those are the hottest topics, as you know. One of the things that you're going to hear a lot about is current values versus prior year values. These are very complex formulas, but currently we use in our calculations for predictability under the current formula, we use prior year values. It allows us to have a lot of predictability. The Senate, I believe, would like to have current year values included. Now, that's very difficult for us because the assessments just came out and they're not final, and we're trying to put a budget together for next year, and so it would make it real difficult for us. But there's a benefit to the Senate of $1.8 billion, and so they're thinking about moving to the current year values. That's problematic from our perspective. There's a letter that we've attached ourselves to on that with a position, and I think we're pretty clear that we don't believe that's in the best interest of the state. Let me just do a quick side-by-side here on the key issues that are important to us. Of course, the basic allotment, which is how we get our funding, has gone up in both the Senate and the House. They're off by $150 between the two, but they're clearly off. The cost of education index, which is basically, think of based on student enrollment and the cost of living, that is basically gone for both of these. Or for both houses at this point. So the first one, teacher pay. This is a popular item for some, just looking at the audience of my friend. So the Senate has made a strong position that it's $5,000, and they've now included librarians. There were two amendments that would have allowed the Senate to increase that to expand that to other positions. The Senate Finance Chair, who owns the initial bill on the funding, chose not to do that, as did a number of others. In fact, if you look at those who voted aye and nay, it's pretty much along party lines for the most part, not perfectly, but teacher pay did not come out of session of the each of the houses are the same. It's about $1,500 on the House side, and that's for most staff positions. We don't know exactly what that means and how far that goes. It's not administrative positions, but there's a big gap between the two. $5,000 for teachers and librarians on the Senate side, and about $1,500 on average for staff employees outside of administrators. And of course, the House obligates that we use a percentage of our allocation. They tell us how we need to spend it. And again, under local control, we would say give us the funding and let us determine how to use it. Real quickly, teacher incentive pay. This is an opt-out, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. People can look into that, but it's like Dallas and other ISDs that have done this. Performance-based bonuses, so this I'm going to spend a little time on. This is outcome-based funding, so students of today give a bonus to the students of the future. So this is essentially based on a third-grade STAR test. There are other instruments, results, or an instrument selected by the commissioner. The commissioner always has very broad latitude on these bills. And we always want to watch for the ability of the commissioner to use that latitude, by the way. This has some unintended consequences that could push more money to wealthier schools, and it's something that really needs to be modeled effectively. This provision may also include additional testing at the lower grades. So you've heard things like kindergarten testing, etc. Transportation allotment pre-K. There's talk about full-year pre-K, which is, we believe in early childhood development. There's some positives there. But here's what I'm not going to mention tonight, but just to note how extensive these bills are. Indirect allotments or spending requirements, new instructional facilities allocation, golden and copper penny yields, number of golden pennies, some elements of set-asides, formula transition grant, recapture, state compression percentage for Tier 1 funding, copper penny compression, rollback tax collection, M&O tax rate cap, residence homestead exemption, tax swaps, bonds, and a number of other bills or joint resolutions that will impact us at the end of this session, and things that we'll have to be conscious of. So in closing, thanks for your patience on this. As you can see from the 6 updates that we've had so far, as we approach and close the session, the top priorities of the big 3, the governor, the Speaker of the House, and Lieutenant Governor, special priorities remain complex and require a great deal of compromise to get consensus in the next couple of weeks. LISD remains committed to our legislative priorities and will continue to advocate on behalf of our district, community, staff, and families to ensure that we have the best operational and financial framework to achieve great educational outcomes for all of our students for the benefit of their families, our community, the state, and the future of our country. As always, you can reach out to any of us for more detail, and we'll be glad to go into it at length.
Thank you, Mr. Miller, for that update. We'll move on to receive an update on the construction of Mill Street Elementary School from Balfour Beatty Construction, LLC. Mr. Ball.
Thank you, Madam President. John Moreau is making his way to the podium, and I see his PowerPoint's already loaded. So Mr. Moreau is a Vice President at Balfour Beatty, and we appreciate you being here, Mr. Moreau. And I will say that we're having very regular periodic meetings to update us on the construction, and we are working together with Balfour Beatty to try to get the Mill Street campus finished, and sure appreciate the efforts you guys are making to that end, Mr. Moreau.
Thank you, Mike. Good evening, Board. Dr. Rogers. Congratulations, President Sells. Don't take this the wrong way, Tracy, but you're a lot easier to follow than the cute kid videos, so especially with your legislative update. You bet.
I'll make sure I put that into my questions at the end.
All right. Fair enough. All right. Am I clicking?
Yes.
Okay, there we go. Progress since the last board update. Darren Lee was here last month. I was out of town, so I appreciate it. Thanks, Darren, for that. Masons are nearing completion of the CMU and are in process of moving their resources outside to the brick veneer. The brick veneer should be complete in July. Structural seal is essentially complete. There is a few miscellaneous detailing still going on. We have to get the deck on the roof of the second floor classroom wing, which started today. A couple entrance canopies and a little bit of miscellaneous ironwork. Roofing and window installation continues around the campus. Overhead roof for the mechanical, HVAC, plumbing, electrical is ongoing. As soon as the deck's down, our subs are in there right behind them, and starting with the overhead roof in. Drywall continues in several areas that are already in the dry. You'll see some pictures here in a little bit. Ceramic tiles ongoing, painting, ceiling grid has begun in Area 1. The first picture on the left is the aerial photo from the end of March. The one on the right is from the end of April or May, or I'm sorry, the first one was February, second one was March, this one's April. And you can see there's been a lot of progress over the last 3 months. This was flown last Friday with our drone out there. Area 1, which is in the front foreground of that area, is completely in the dry. Everything but the second floor of the two-story classroom wing is in the dry. When I was here a couple months ago, I said we'd be in the dry by the end of May. Looks like we're going to be right on schedule for that. Said permanent power at the end of May. Looks like we're going to be right on schedule for that. The transformer is on site. They're working in the main electrical room. All areas are dry except basically the second floor of the classroom wing, which is area 6. Area 1, the area in the front of the foreground back there, you can see the walls, drywall's up, tape and bed, overhead roof is complete, ceiling grid's going in, the tile is in the restrooms and the corridors. First coat of primer paint is on the walls. We have generators running the air conditioning in there, those areas, so we can dehumidify it so we can start putting in finishes. Area 4, the kitchen, you can see the cooler freezer is in. The exhaust hood will be here this week, begin getting installed. As soon as that's done, we'll bring the tile guy into the kitchen, start working our way out, and the majority of the kitchen equipment will start showing up early in June to be installed. Area 5, the admin area, it's in the dry. Overhead roof is complete. Drywall is on both sides of the walls. Tape and bed is ongoing. Finishes and tile will start in there also. This is area 2 and 3, the first floor of the classroom wing. In the end of April, we hadn't poured the second floor deck, but by last Friday, we had the whole thing poured in 2 separate pours. And so just since the end of April, all this stud work you see and all the overhead stuff has been installed underneath once that slab was poured. As soon as we get the metal deck on the top, we'll begin putting drywall in there, one-siding it, and moving on. Area 6, second floor. Concrete floor is placed, like I said. Roof deck began today. Overhead roof and metal stud will follow immediately as soon as that roof's on. We have looked at several ways to either temporary roof it if we need to for if the weather affects us. If not, it'll immediately begin being roofed and it will be in the dry, like I said, by the end of the month. So that takes weather off of the critical path. For the next 30 days, we'll complete the roof deck, the roofing, and the 2-story classroom wing. Again, ongoing mechanical electrical rough in the second floor. Our mechanical electrical subs have been doing a great job. Our drywaller's been doing a great job. Our roofer's been doing a great job. They're following behind. They're all working 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a week. And we've made a tremendous amount of progress. Metal stud framing, second floor, like I said, as soon as we get the deck on and the roof on, we'll continue climatizing spaces as they're dried in. And I told you we were bringing generators in. The distribution is already there. We're just running the generator to the panel. So as soon as we get permanent power, we flip the switch and the units will all be on. So, like I said, the masonry veneer is ongoing. As the masons finish up inside, there's still a few couple column wraps they're doing out of CMU, but most of their resources have been moved to the outside. So the exterior brick you should see go pretty fast. There's a lot of it, but you should see it go pretty fast. I don't know if you've been by there lately, but the gym area is pretty much topped out with brick on 3 of the sides. Continued drywall, tape bed and paint, ceramic tile. Millwork should start showing up towards the end of this month, and then flooring as soon as we get in the finished areas. That's it for the update. I'm open for questions.
Perfect. Does anybody have any questions?
Oh, yes. What's your ETA for completion?
Well, right now, the Area 6 is the last one to complete. Our schedule shows the week after school starts. All the other areas show us being final cleaned between the first and last week in July. So Area 6 is still the area of concern for us, but we're working on ways to compress that.
When do you think you will know? Will you know more at our next board meeting?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That is all.
Any other questions?
Question. So, I mean, you wouldn't get your final CO without any of that, correct?
Depends. We've had temporary COs before or partial COs, depending on. It depends on the fire marshal and the city of Lewisville, both of which have been great partners so far.
Okay.
And Area 6 is the classroom wing, though?
Second floor of the classroom.
Okay. But it is still one of the
Yes.
classrooms. Okay. Thank you.
I just wanted to say captivating. John, speechless. You covered everything. So,
well,
thank
Darren helped me. So.
As you know, getting into that school is important to us.
Oh, absolutely.
And I know it's important
to
you
us
guys.
as
so
well.
We're excited about what that's going to bring to the community. So thanks for continuing to work with us.
You bet.
And I just had a couple of questions. Do you still have extra crews that you'll continue to keep on site as you can?
Oh, yeah.
And then also, I noticed that there was some security video on one of the Facebook pages. Have we had vandalism?
We did have a break-in a couple weeks ago, but I don't.
There wasn't damage that
No,
impeded
it wasn't anything
moving forward.
in the school.
Okay.
And we actually had the police there last week, but there was a wreck,
okay.
a hit and run right next to the building, and the driver that hit ran through our construction project, and
Oh my.
our carpenters tackled him and held him down till the police got there. So.
Well, kudos to your security cameras, because the video that I saw was I wish I had that at my house. I have video cameras, but not that precise. So just had that question. So thank you very much for the update.
You bet.
Look forward to next month.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Moving on to our discussion items. Mr. Ball, you're up with the monthly financial report.
Thank you, Ms. Sells. These financial statements are for the month ended March 31st, 2019, and for the 7 months ended March 31st. The financial statements just indicate that we're tracking the budget as we would anticipate. And also the bond report for both the 2008 and the 2017 bond programs are there, as well as the monthly investment report as of March 31st, and I'd certainly be pleased to address any questions the board might have.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Ball? I see none, so we will continue to move on to our action items. First action item, to consider authorization to transfer the interest subsidy payment received on Building America Bonds Series 2010 from the Debt Service Fund to the General Fund. Mr. Ball, you're up again.
Thank you, President Sells. This is an item we've discussed in the work session. This would, we're asking the board to authorize us to transfer the interest subsidy received from the federal government on the Build America bonds for the current fiscal year, and the amount of that is $493,490. We've already received the first half of that. We anticipate receiving the second half of that in August, and it's our recommendation that the board approve this item, and certainly be pleased to address any questions the board may have.
Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the transfer of federal interest subsidy payments related to Lewisville Independent School District Unlimited Tax School Building Bonds, Taxable Series 2010B, District Subsidy Build America Bonds for fiscal year ending August 31st, 2019, in the amount of $493,490 from the Debt Service Fund to the General Fund as recommended by administration.
Do we have a second? Ms. Lasan, seconded. Do we have any discussion?
This is just for this year.
That's correct.
I just wanted to say thank you very much for the administration to listening to the board and looking into doing this and being able to move that money to a place where we have far more control over it.
Thank you.
Good comment. If there's no other questions or comments, I'll call the vote. All in favor? Passes 7-0. Next item up on the agenda, consider approval of guaranteed maximum price for the Hebron High School Multipurpose Facility, Indoor Athletic Center, and Practice Field Redesign Project included in the 2017 bond projects. Mr. Ball, you're up again.
Thank you, Ms. Sells. This item also was discussed in the work session. The guaranteed maximum price has been through a competitive bid process under supervision of LISD personnel, and the sum of those bids have been vetted and presented by Pogue Construction Company. And the guaranteed maximum price for this project is $31,679,911, and it's certainly the recommendation of the administration that this item be approved, and we'd be pleased to address any questions the board may have.
Do I have a motion? Ms.
I move that the guaranteed maximum price of $31,679,911 for the Hebron High School Multi-Purpose Facility, Indoor Athletic Center, and Practice Field Redesign project by Poe Construction be approved, and that the Superintendent, Chief Financial Officer, or Executive Director of Procurement and Contracts be authorized to sign any documents to implement this action as recommended by administration.
Do I have a second? Ms. Hassett? Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Motion passes 7-0. Moving on, consider approval of guaranteed maximum price for the Forest Vista Playground Replacement Project included in the 2017 bond projects. Mr. Ball?
Thank you, Ms. Sells. This item also was discussed in the work session. This is the replacement of the playground equipment. It is just a little bit over the budget that was or the cost estimate that was provided originally, because there were some unexpected drainage issues, and actually the size required to meet current standards caused this project to go a little bit over budget. But we do have funds in the bond program to make this happen, so we are recommending the board approve the guaranteed maximum price of $237,508 for this project from Pogue Construction.
Do I have a motion?
I move that the guaranteed maximum price of $237,508 for Vista Ridge Playground Replacement by Pogue Construction be approved, and that the Superintendent, Chief Financial Officer, or Executive Director of Procurement and Contracts be authorized to sign any documents and implement this action as recommended by administration.
Ms. Hassett, could you please reread the first part of that? I think you said Vista Ridge.
Forest Vista Playground Replacement by Pogue. My apologies.
That's okay. Thank you. Do I have a second? Ms. Lasan, is there any discussion? Call the vote. All in favor, say aye. Motion passes 7-0. What? What'd you say? Did you? Oh, say aye. Sorry. Well, he wants to say aye. Okay. Consider approval of guaranteed maximum price for the Colony High School entry reconfiguration and the Colony High School limited renovation projects included in the 2017 bond projects. Mr. Ball?
Thank you, Ms. Sells. This item, again, was discussed in the work session. This includes the reconfiguration of the front entry to the Colony High School, as well as some limited renovation work. It also includes an allowance to bring the elevator up to current standards in the building, and so as we discussed in the work session, we feel that's important to include that in this project, and so it's the administration's recommendation that the board approve the guaranteed maximum price of $5,114,077 for this project as presented by Core Construction, and be pleased to address any questions the board might have.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion. I move that the guaranteed maximum price of $5,114,077 for the Colony High School entry reconfiguration and the Colony High School limited renovation by Core Construction be approved, which includes the allowance for the elevator work, and that the Superintendent, Chief Financial Officer, or Executive Director of Procurement and Contracts be authorized to sign any documents to implement this action as recommended by administration.
Do I have a second? Ms. Timish, you were the first I saw. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 7-0. Next on the agenda, consider approval of time and attendance system replacement and related products and services cooperative contracts. Mr. Ball, again.
Thank you, Ms. Sells. This item has been part of our bond package, and these time clocks that we currently have are nearing the end of their life, and it was provided in the bond program to replace those. And the bids you see, or the vendors you see, are through cooperative contract, and it's the recommendation of the administration that this item be approved. The total project budget for this is $155,000, and it's our recommendation to approve that.
Thank you, Mr. Ball. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion. I move that the anticipated expenditures of $155,000 with Kronos Incorporated and Smart Group Systems for the time and attendance system replacement and related products and services be approved as presented by administration.
Do I have a second? Ms. Hassett. Seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 7-0. Next on the agenda, consider approval of foreign exchange student waiver. Dr. Coburn?
Thank you, Ms. Sells. Members of the board, this is one last look. Again, this is the waiver to allow us to have 40 foreign exchange students. The plan is to equally distribute those among our 5 high schools, assuming that we have an equal interest at all 5. We just feel like 40 is an 8 per school is a really great number where we are providing that rich experience in kind of the best way that we can.
Would someone like to make the motion?
I move that the foreign exchange student waiver be approved as presented by administration.
Do I have a second? Ms. Cox, seconded. All right, is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 7-0. Moving on to consent items. Would someone either like to make a motion, or if you'd like to pull, please, for separate consideration.
I'd like to pull 1E.
1E?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Madam President, I'd like to pull 2B1.
2B1. Are there any others? Okay, would someone like to make the motion but pulling those separate for consideration?
I move that the board approve consent agenda items as recommended by administration with the exception of the following pulled items for separate consideration, 1E and 2B1.
Do I have a second? Ms. Cox, all in favor? Motion passes 7-0. On 1E, would you like to speak, or would you like to make that motion?
Consider approval of annual agreement between Communities and Schools of North Texas and CISNT and Lewisville ISD, and expenditures for the Lewisville ISD After School Centers on Education ACE program. And I just, again, and thank you for sitting through this really long meeting, and we appreciate everything that Communities and Schools does for all of our schools and our kiddos. And I just wanted to pull that out to recognize.
We need a second. Ms. Cox, is there any other discussion or comments? All in favor? Motion passes 7-0. Ms. Cox, would you like to?
I can read it. This is on 2B1. I'd like to make a motion for RFQ 010319, instructional material, asset recovery, disposal, and related services.
Do we have a second? Ms. Hassett seconded. Any discussion, or would you like to speak?
Yes. So my question is for the district. This is in regards to the disposal of educational materials. I'd just like to make sure on the closure of Hedrick and College Street moving over to what is going to happen to those materials. I want to make sure we're recycling, or what's going to happen to that.
It's a great question, Ms. Cox, and we do have a process in place. It's a collaborative process, actually, to evaluate the materials at those 2 campuses, and those materials that are currently adopted and suitable for reuse will be repurposed at other locations where they can serve children. Those that are out of either out of adoption or are not in shape, in a condition to be of further use will be recycled. And that's actually part of this action item that's being recommended. The district will actually receive a little bit of revenue from that recycling. So none of these materials are scheduled to be just discarded. They'll either be reused or recycled if they're not suitable for reuse.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Ball. That's the answer I was looking for.
Are there any other questions or comments? All in favor? That passes 7-0. If there is no further business, this meeting is adjourned, and the meeting is 9:20.